Welcome to All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian fishing podcast hosted by Rody and Diz. The boys will share their tall tales of the one that got away, as well as some regular segments they know all you fishing tragics will enjoy.
G'day guys and welcome to episode 119 of All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian Fishing Podcast. We have a huge guest for you lined up later today. We have Dom Thornely, the content and brand marketing manager behind Shimano, the greatest and leading brand in the fishing industry. Rody, good to be here.
Dizzy, I'm going to start with my lemon. I'm just going to jump right in.
Oh.
And you stuffing up in the first sentence of the podcast is my lemon for today. It is episode 118.
What did I say?
You said 119.
Oh, jeepers, that is flat. I was trying to bring the energy today and I've just, wow.
Do you really need that beer if you've stuffed up already?
That's a bad start. Okay, all right. Well done on the lemon. Without further ado then, Rody, let's get into it. The oranges and lemons. What's your orange?
My orange is going to be taking Lil down to Happy Valley on Saturday. Good to see her showing a really keen interest in fishing, Diz.
Yeah, she was loving it.
She was loving it.
Bit of casting.
Put the video on. She, what was it, my birthday? I was lucky enough to get a paint your own lures kit. So we painted a few lures a couple of weekends ago and I was casting them out. She was retrieving. That was keeping her entertained while I soaked a few baits down the other end.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Didn't catch anything. That's the only downside. But good, she's keen, Diz.
So can we take away from that you're no good at painting lures and you just couldn't attract the fish with your
the random
poor painting,
assortment
or?
of blue and yellow and red and black just didn't quite get them on the tube. Probably the other factor why she didn't catch any is she didn't have any hooks on her lure.
Fair enough. Well, that's a safety thing when young sort of 2.5-year-olds are flicking.
What age can
learning how to cast?
What age can I let her loose on some hooks?
Oh, I don't know, mate. I don't know. But I did the exact same thing. I went and got I've got a squidgy that Ned practices his casting into the pool and doesn't have a hook on it.
What, you just used a little jig head and cut the hook off, did you?
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah, good. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to touch on that a bit later in our tackle item of the week, Diz.
Yes, righto. My orange is the mighty Port Adelaide Power. Jeez.
How good was that, Diz? We went along with a couple of mates.
It was so good. It just felt right. I mean, it did. I'm sorry for all you Hawks supporters out there, but it just did feel like you got hit by the karma bus. And it was great to get the win. Sure, we're excited. We have always been excited for the grand final, Rody. We've booked the grand final in for a very long time. I'm really hoping Power get it done this weekend.
So, my dears, that leads us into your lemon.
My lemon is, of course, the first thing I did when the siren went was quickly jumped on Webjet and had a look, and I was met by $1,000 flights to Sydney on Friday. Disgraceful.
And you were met with 2 kids at home? Was that the other sort of issue with the trip? Or?
I was also met with a pretty firm no chance that you're going to Sydney next weekend. Big guy, you've already got the grand final in the calendar. So anyway, we'll have a nice, quiet Friday night in and be absolutely glued to the TV, I reckon.
We will, Diz, and I've already had my lemon. You wishing away episode 118.
Oh, what? So I've just got to roll that straight into my lemon too? I've already done mine, so we're done. We've wrapped her up.
We have. That's oranges and lemons done for you, Diz. Let's talk about our merch.
Yes, so we have got some photo comp winners. We had, I think it was 4, wasn't it? It was 4 T-shirts that we had left of varying sizes. I think we had a medium, a large, an XL, and a double XL. So we asked all of you listeners out there to send in your photos, and we are going to pick some winners now, Rody. So tell us who got the medium and what the fish was, Rody.
All right, Diz, we've tried to go a range of species and different photos. We loved all the photos, but here's a couple of particular ones we loved. Jack Schiller wins the medium. He caught a good size Murray cod. Diz, last decent cod of the season. Jack Schiller, well done. You win the medium.
Very good, mate. Roll that straight into the large. Who got the large?
Diz, we have given the large to a bloke by the name of Shane Locke. He had a photo of his son, Blake, holding a great winter whiting, and he's got the size large for Dad for getting him onto the fish, Diz.
Beautiful. We love that. I'll roll that straight into the extra large. We're going to give that to Luke Chamings. What a beautiful big red fin that was, mate. Love that. Brilliant photo. Thanks for sending it in. And to round out, Rody, the double XL, we're going to go with Mark Wenman. What a beautiful photo that was off Wallaroo. An absolute glass off. And yes, it did make us jealous that you were out there, mate. There wasn't any fish in that photo, but it was a beautiful shot and one that definitely made us all jealous that we weren't out there enjoying a bit of time on the water.
And that was midweek while we were sitting at work, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
That's rude. Not sure why we're awarding that, Diz, but anyway, well done to Mark, Luke, Shane and Jack.
Well done to the winners.
Hit us up with your contact details and we'll get you out your T-shirts.
Good stuff, guys. All right, Rody, let's roll it straight into the news.
Rody and Diz have been searching far and wide to bring you the latest news across all fishing in the state, and we'll give you the rundown on what you need to know.
Rody, I always love hearing from RecFish when they drop an email in my inbox, and they've done a great wrap up of the RecFish forums. So we did have Asher on the show recently. He was very generous with his time, as he always is, and gave us a good summary of what was the feedback, what was the discussion topics and that sort of thing that they had from the number of different forums that they held across the state. What they've done since then is sent out in their email list is a bit of a wrap-up, and Rhodey's going to take it through us now.
Diz, there's plenty of detail here. It breaks it into the different regions of the state and what the priorities are, but I'm just going to go the top priorities overall. So they were secure snapper access, ban netting and longlining, and introduce a fishing licence were the top three priorities, with Coorong reform, improving ramp facilities and secure free launching also making up the top priorities. Diz?
Love it.
So that's across the state. Where can rec fishing improve? The number one standout was stock management, with sustainable practices, boating and infrastructure and data collection methods also mentioned. There was also some ramps and reservoirs that were sort of noted as a priority to increase some access to different reservoirs and improve some boat ramps. Talks about different sustainability threats across the state. So Mulloway in the Coorong, King George Whiting and Flathead across the Eyre Peninsula, Kingfish around sort of your Wyala, Port Augusta area, Diz, and cockles all down the Coorong. And further on from there, Diz, as well as some snapper recovery reefs and re-snagging the Murray River.
Beautiful, mate. Thank you very much for that summary. For everybody out there, of course, if you're not a RecFish member, become a RecFish member. You'll be able to get that summary and read it in a bit more detail if you like. And look, I think the forums were a great idea, Rhodey. We unfortunately did have prior range commitments on the one that was held locally for us at Westlakes. But it was great that they streamed it. I think we did jump on there for watch a bit of the streaming, ducked out from the event and watched a bit of the streaming. But very well done to RecFish on all the work they do for the community. Rhodey, what else have we got coming up, mate? Gone Fishing Day is October 13. That's the Sunday after the long weekend.
Yes, it is, Diz. And I think we're actually going camping that weekend, so we'll be soaking a few shrimps off the bank.
We'll be gone fishing.
Yes, we will be gone fishing. So RecFish is holding an event down at West Lakes Oarsman Reserve. It's going to be another one of their fishing clinics and Yabby net swap. Jump on their Facebook and register via Eventbrite. There's 2 sessions, 10 till 12 and 12 till 2.
Brilliant, Rhodey. Now, the other story that we did want to cover off in the news is the update or the new recreational crayfish rules. Being a bit of a cray diver yourself, Rhodey, talk us through it.
Yeah, Diz, so this is around reducing the perceived discomfort to caught crayfish, Diz. So up until now, you've had to cut across more than 50% of the centre tail fin. That's to mark that it's recreationally caught and show that it's not, show a difference between the professional crayfish. So that has been seen to, cause bleeding from the crayfish, and I think some people feel it is an ethical issue doing that to the crayfish. So they've come up with an alternative, and instead of doing that as an extra option, you can do a 10 millimetre minimum diameter circle tail punch to be clipped out of the centre tail fin, which is seen to be less harmful to the crayfish.
Okay, there you go. Now, are we talking like get down to Office Works and buy yourself a hole punch?
I just don't know whether your standard hole punch should be greater than 10 mils though, would it? That's probably my question.
I don't know.
I don't know how that works exactly either.
Or is this opening up a market for long-time listener and great friend of ours, the fishing guru?
He could put together some sort of a 10 millimeter diameter hole punch.
He'd be working on it now.
But Diz, it's a niche sort of market, but both options are appropriate at the moment and are allowed at the moment. I think at some point that could become the norm though.
Very good. Well, you'll need to deck yourself out with a hole punch or something similar if you plan on using that method and taking the humane option when you're marking your crays that you catch as recreational, won't you, Rody?
I catch plenty, Diz, so I'll need to worry about it too.
Okay, Rody, what else have we got, mate? We've got a bit of an update for those. It was a bit of a seal and mulloway update, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So this was on the RecFish Facebook page as well. So long-nosed fur seals are apparently no longer an issue in the Coorong. So for the last reporting period, there was only 15 reported interactions between gillnet fishers and the fur seals. Diz?
What do you reckon's happened?
Well, I'm not sure, Diz, what's gone on here, but it does go on to say that despite there being less interactions with the fur seals, it's a bit of a concern that the reported commercial mulloway catch has not dramatically skyrocketed. So that probably doesn't paint a great picture for the amount of mulloway in the Coorong, Diz, because traditionally, historically, commercial fishers have reported that up to 50% of fish in gill nets have been taken by seals. So if there's no longer seals and there's no more mulloway being found, what does that tell you?
Yeah, good call.
So RecFish have lodged, so they've done this at least a couple of times, to the Pursa Minister to increase the size limits for mulloway in the Coorong for sustainability and population assurance. And they see that as a proactive and responsible bit of advice to try and get the mulloway back on track. It's the third time in 12 months the issue has been presented to the Minister on behalf of the recreational community.
Good call.
Currently, the size limit in the Coorong nursery is 46 centimetres with 10 juvenile fish per person able to be kept, with fish not breeding until approximately 82 centimetres. You're taking them out of the water a long way before they've had a chance to breed, Diz, and that seems wrong to me.
Yeah. No, good call, mate. Couldn't agree with you anymore. Love that. What else we got in the news? We've wrapped it up.
Well, I don't know, mate. Have you got anything else? You bring anything else to the table?
No, I'm just waiting for the next segment, mate. It's my time to shine.
All right.
Let's get stuck into the tackle item.
Now it's time for Rody and Diz to really show you what it means to have all the gear with a lot of idea as they review a tackle item of the week.
For anybody out there, Rody, with a real keen ear, they would know that our little introduction section there to the tackle item of the week is, of course, the drag being absolutely peeled off a beautiful Saragossa. But we're not talking about a Saragossa in this tackle item.
I was wondering where this is going.
We're talking about this week the Shimano Sienna. It's a brilliant introductory range. We've both got one on our junior angler rods. One for Lily, one for Ned.
So the Shimano Raider Junior, we picked up two of them, Diz, one for each.
Yep, we've got some Raider Juniors and we've both got them fitted out with a Sienna 1000 because they are great reels. They're brilliant for learning how to cast, retrieve, and really get stuck into fishing. And we love them because they are, of course, really robust, tough. We know that.
And they're lightweight for kids. Like, it matches perfectly to that kid's rod.
Yeah. We know that because of Shimano, and it's great because it's at a really affordable price as an introductory reel. You can usually pick one up for about $65, and it's good to get them into it. It's going to last you a long time.
It's really in my wheelhouse of parenting, Diz. When Lil's been naughty or Lucy's going out for the day and I've got to keep Lil happy, we normally book in about a half an hour in the boat.
Yeah.
Lil pretends to spot schools of tuna. She talks to Ned on the radio. She plays with all the things she shouldn't play with. And then we get the Shimano Sienna and the Raider Junior, and we do a bit of retrieving practice on the lawn.
That's good. Yeah, we love that. Yeah, we've been practicing a bit of casting. Ned did happen to get one of those like magnetic rods, like a little toy one that you drop on top of fish. Yep. Sometimes he gets a bit more excited by that because you can actually catch something. But then other times the fish gets stuck in the middle of the pool and he can't get it, and then he starts crying and it's sort of game over. So there's a bit of a story there for you. But the Sienna, mate, a fantastic reel. Of course, it's got all the brilliant stuff that Shimano packs into all of their reels, but a nice introductory price for all the juniors out there who might be wanting to get stuck into fishing.
Very good, Diz. That's a great tackle item of the week. Now, let's move into our guest. Diz, Dom Thornely, former cricketer, moved into the world of fishing. He is now the content and brand marketing manager at our friends at Shimano. Let's get him on the line.
Now it's time to get our guest on the line. We'll ask them the all-important 5 questions, then chat all things fishing in SA.
Righto, Rody, we are very lucky to be joined by what can only be described as Shimano royalty. We have Dom on the line, content and brand marketing manager. Dom, it's great to have you on. Thank you very much for joining.
Shimano royalty. Now that's an introduction. I do appreciate that, boys. But hey, it's an honour to be on the podcast. What do we say? Long time listener, first time caller.
Very good, Dom. Glad you've been listening. Now we're going to get into our 5 questions before we get into the Shimano stuff in a bit more specifics. Let's start off with telling us about your best fish.
Best fish. Best fish probably would be the first time I ever chased tuna. Took my good mate Brett Lee, the Australian cricketer, out for a fish. We shared a boat together, and we were out chasing tuna off Sydney, and had a couple other guys who actually knew what they were doing on the boat, which always helps. We go out to a place called Heaton's Hill, which is about an hour and a half run off Sydney. Bit of a seamount, and always notorious for some tunas at a certain time of the year. Anyway, good old Binger was on strike first up. He catches a nice 90-kilo fish, which was a beautiful fish.
Wow.
And anyway, typical of Binger, he gets all the limelight, and he's up the front of the deck getting all the photographs done with this fish. And I'm sitting at the back of the boat, and I'm sort of just pulling in some lines, and I'm noticing there's a few fish around that are launching out of the water. I'm like, hang on, I'm not stopping, boys. You can get your photographs up the front of the boat. So I go and lob a couple of lures out. Didn't have a clue. I just threw them out the back. I thought, about a cricket pitch length will be about right. And then chucked her into gear and started doing figure eights around these fish. And lo and behold, hooked a fish, fought it for about 40 minutes, and ended up being 143 kilos southern bluefin. So funny story is, first time, it was actually 10 years ago, a few months ago, that I caught it. First time I've ever chased tuna, and last time I've ever chased tuna. I thought after that I'm hanging up the boots. I don't think I'll catch one bigger than that.
No, that's pretty epic. We've been down chasing barrels a few times. Port Mac's probably the closest for us, and we've had no joy. So that 143, mate, that makes us extremely jealous. And you took home the bickies too. So Binger was up there taking photos and carrying on, and you just said, "Watch me, I'm going to go bang."
That's trademark, typical Brett Lee, getting all the limelight. But no, it was a good day. We still talk about it. We brought them both home too. So we had 200 kilos of fish in the back of the boat. We had them all covered in towels, and we're ringing our mates as we're going home, saying, "Get down here with your recipes. There's sushi for days," was the call.
Yeah, how good's that? Excellent. All right, Dom, tell us your favourite thing about fishing.
The favourite thing about fishing, I'd probably in a nutshell say just the anticipation of when you're chasing a fish, whatever type of fish you're chasing, you're always thinking about your technique, you're thinking about the journey, how to actually capture or trick that fish in. But that moment between the cast, either the pause, the twitching, or even if you're bait fishing, just that moment of anticipation of what's about to happen. Quite often, those who fish really well will know something's about to happen, but those like me that don't fish really well is, just that anticipation is what I love.
Very good. That's another popular answer there, Dom. Plenty of our guests say something similar. So you're in the majority there, mate. Now tell us.
With the majority.
Tell us about your first fishing memory or what got you into it.
Yeah, right. That's probably a bit of background. I played sport for a living, and I was a bit of a has-been cricketer back in the day. And halfway through my career, my coach pulled me in, and I was pretty fixated in the sport of cricket. And he said, mate, we have a day off each week. You need a hobby. He said, what did you used to do as a kid? I said, I used to go camping a bit, did a little bit of fishing down on the Murray River down in Albury, which is where I reside from. And he said, oh, well, there you go. How about fishing? So typical me, I buy the first book I can get. It's probably a Fishing World or Fishing Monthly mag, and there's an article on how to catch flathead on soft plastics. I read it and I got intrigued and went and bought a little combo, went and bought some plastics, and I went straight to lure fishing. I completely skipped bait fishing. And probably because I don't like getting my hands dirty. That's typical of me. But, straight to lure fishing. And, so I started catching some flatties around Sydney, just in the local lakes and in some of the couple of the rivers around here. And then from there, bought myself a boat and then bought 58 fishing rods and became addicted to it. So, it was pretty – I'm a late bloomer. I'm sort of 15 years into fishing now only, and obviously, so much more to do and so much more to explore. And now I'm working in the industry. It's obviously opened up a huge avenue for opportunities for me to at least watch fishing, because that's pretty much all I do these days rather than fish myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's quite impressive, mate. Most people would start with bait fishing, I'd say, because it's usually maybe a bit more of a reliable way to get onto them. So good on you for getting into lure fishing. It's like anything. We do get it quite commonly on the show that there's always something new to learn. There's always a new technique to try and master. And I think that's forever going to be the case. And we're certainly keen to chat a little bit later about what's in the pipeline for Shimano, because they're always at the cutting edge. Before we do, mate, your favourite sort of fishing and why? Is it that flatty, chasing those flatties with lures? What is it?
Yeah, no, that sort of wore off pretty quick, particularly the flatties around Sydney. And although there's some big girls that I'm now having fun chasing in the shallows on the mid-north coast, which I find really appealing. But my favourite form of fishing is actually snapper fishing on plastics in the shallows. So if I'm fishing anything deeper than 25 metres, I feel like I'm fishing over the edge of the shelf. So I find myself hunting and stalking big reds in shallow water up and down the mid-north coast of New South Wales, and I'm throwing out, quarter-ounce jig heads with big long casts on the drift and hooking up some really good snapper. Again, it's hunting. I'm on the move. I don't feel like I'm sitting still doing nothing, and I'm using the drift. I'm running along the edge of reefs, and I'm running over the top of reefs half the time, but. Yeah, the adrenaline of being able to hook a big. Now, I know you guys, I'm envious of you guys because you have some absolute dinosaurs over in your beautiful state, but I do believe half the time you can't catch them. But
all the time we can't catch them at the moment.
Nearly all the time, exactly. Which is a real shame. We all know that. But, the whole idea of wafting down a plastic and just hunting and stalking those reds, when you get a really good one, sort of up in the 80s and 90 centimetres, you're only on 20-pound braid, and you're still 40 metres away from the fish. You've got to drive up on top of it and fight it. That whole adrenaline part is the bit I love the most. Generally, it ruins your drift because you turn the motor on and whatever, but so be it. You're going to catch a fish of a lifetime. So that's been me. I got addicted to it up at a place called Coffs Harbour on the mid-north coast of New South Wales, and there's some unbelievable grounds up there. The reds are a bit different over there at Coffs. They've got this humpy head, this gnarly-looking head, which is pretty cool. I think they just smash their heads against all the reef that's around there up and down the coast versus the sand. But the other area I've got interest, boys, and I'm going to share a bit of a secret, I think, because they like to keep it hush hush. But over at Bustleton, WA, off the beach, there are some absolute dinosaur snapper being caught.
Oh wow!
In that sort of April-May period every year. And I was over there not long ago at a conference with some of the retailers and had a few of the retailers telling me about it, and it absolutely pricked my ears up when they said, "Oh, we're catching metre 10 size snapper off the beach," and I just said, "Sorry, like, can you repeat that?" You know, I'm the holy grail for me is a metre snapper, and that's, you know, there's only a few people that I know that have done that. You know, that's from New South Wales, but you guys probably catch them every second day over there. but yeah, that's it, boys. Snapper on plastics is where it's at for me.
Beautiful. Now, we do get very jealous when all our interstate guests talk about snapper. I know we've got plenty of big ones over here, but the never-ending snapper band has put them out of reach for us.
It certainly
it's a real shame. It's a real shame. Like, we're obviously frustrated at it. Naturally, working at Shimano, we know how good the snapper fishery is and how good it can be, you know, because people will, and they are. There's many people that are doing the right thing, and there's, you know, some good regulations within the states that I've fished for snapper, and, you know, even Queensland have a little short ban period for spawning and so forth, and that's okay. It's, you know, it's a 4-week ban. You know, you can deal with that, but certainly when you get closed out for 12 months, that's pretty disappointing.
Yeah, you're right there, Dom. Now, last one of our questions. Tell us about your funniest fishing story or the one that got away.
Funniest fishing story, one that got away. I'll tell you, I'm going to burn my mate Brett Lee on this one.
This is the Brett Lee comedy hour here.
It's not really a fishing it's a fishing story, but it's okay. So Brett and I, we co-owned a boat, and we ran an E-Tech on the back. Good old E-Tech. I'll give him a plug. Even though we bought the bloody thing and the thing shut itself. But anyway, Brett and I. So as you know, it's a 2-stroke. You know, you got to put oil in the motor and whatnot. Now, we're pretty new to all this. So, righto, the first thing we learnt was, okay, let's keep a safety bottle of oil inside the hatch of the boat every time. Don't ever touch that. We always top up with the other oil, and that one's there as a safety. Anyways, I get on the boat one morning. We run out to the shelf. We're going to go catch some marlin. Brett's not on the boat. He's in India. That's handy. But I'm fishing, and I've taken a mate out. He knows what he's doing. I haven't got a clue. You'll soon learn that about me. I always just fish with good people. Anyways, we're on the shelf. Next minute, we just put the lines in. We got the spread going. Next minute, the motor sort of goes boom, 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 into a limp mode. And I'm like, oh, right, okay. Thankfully, the guy on the boat is a boat mechanic, so that's really cool. That's one of the other safety tools on my boat, is someone who knows what they're doing again on the boat. Anyway, he goes, "Oh, what's going on?" And he says, "Oh, hang on, your oil pressure's low. You got any oil?" I said, "Yeah, look, thankfully we've got a safety one." And I open up the hatch, and I go down to reach and grab the bottle, and I pull it out, and it's dead empty. And didn't I let out a big expletive at that stage? And I think Brett might have heard me over in India. Anyway, I sent him a text. I said, "Hey, mate, how about that oil that you left on the..." "Oh, yeah, mate, sorry, I used it the other day." I said, "Oh, good news, I'm on the shelf, and we're in limp mode, and I've just called Marine Rescue." So anyway, we actually, believe it or not, 22 nautical miles limp mode all the way back to the harbour. God bless Marine Rescue, who somehow managed to miss us on a 5K. Was it five nautical mile difference of direction? So we've limp moded all the way back to the jetty where we're at, to the marina, and smoke going everywhere. But the damage was only was just an oil filter. An oil pump. That was all, which was pretty amazing. But yeah, anyway, it's not the one that got away, but it's when your mate lets you down, and yeah, it probably helps to have a boat that's owned by someone who knows what they're doing.
For sure.
At least someone on the boat. It's on me. I should have checked before I went, 100%. But yeah, you kind of rely upon some of these things.
Yes, well, when you've got a system, it's worthwhile sticking to them. We used to have a two-stroke, and we did have a bit of a safety oil bottle up that front hatch of our boat too. And fortunately, Rhodey didn't stitch me up. But mind you, I think the worst that we might have done in that tinny was being somewhere stuck up the river, not out on the shelf. So
yeah, it's a
bit different. That's right.
Different.
Now,
Anyway,
Dom, thank you very much.
Plenty of people in Sydney. They'll find us.
Absolutely. Now, Dom, thank you very much for those 5 questions, mate. Brilliant. Some fantastic answers in there. Let's get stuck into your role, and if you don't mind, tell us how you got into it. You mentioned your history in cricket, so how did you start with getting into Shimano?
Yeah. So how did that happen? I had a cricket career. While I played cricket, I got myself a marketing degree and had these plans that once cricket finished, and always going to happen at some stage, that I would love to move into a marketing role within a product, a brand, or a business, something that's of interest. And so post the cricket career finishing, I actually went in and worked with an agency that managed the Weet-Bix portfolio, Sanitarium. And so I was kind of responsible for managing their sponsorship portfolio, which included cricketers, included Brett, Timmy Cahill and the AFL and Steph Gilmore. And that was a good fun job. You're negotiating the agreements for everybody. You're then leveraging their existence with the Weet-Bix brand. And Weet-Bix was fantastic. It's a wholesome brand. It's one of Australia's most trusted brands, and it's pretty much 2 in 3 households had a box of Weet-Bix during that time that I was working with them. So everyone was engaged. It was good fun. And then from there, I got a phone call out of nowhere from Cricket New South Wales to go back and do some coaching, and I always wanted to coach. So I went back and coached for 4 years. Coached the girls' cricket team, coached the boys, was a batting coach there, and had a good time. And then made a decision once we had a couple of little boys that I would get away from the cricket completely. I was pretty much over the game by then, and started my own marketing business, of which I went, well, I'm going to start marketing, fishing and boating and sort of marine areas. So I picked up some small projects for some clients, and one of them was of Ocean Blue Fishing Charters, which had a digital magazine, and that magazine we sold sponsorship in. We did product reviews for them. So I actually went down and saw Shimano about a product review, and I knew a few of the guys at Shimano. I'd had a link with them while I was playing cricket. I was getting a bit of gear from them, fishing gear and whatnot. Brett and I were doing that. And anyway, they just sort of said, just on the slide, they said, look, there's a job going here, marketing manager. And I said, no, I didn't. And so I had a bit of a look at it and had a couple of meetings about it. And then they basically said, look, job's yours if you want it. So, I had this sort of the marketing degree behind me, plus a bit of background in marketing. And they were looking for something a bit different. They were looking for someone who was doing a bit of content. I was working with Guesty on Real Action TV, just as his general business manager, looking after his sponsors on that show. A couple of times I was on the show with Guesty having a fish, mainly around the snappers, so that's all I could catch. But and that was good fun. I did 2 years with Guesty, and just sort of, obviously that was, Guesty had his partners, and that was with Pure Fishing, with the Berkeley brand and the Pen and whatnot. And, all terrific guys there, and some pretty good gear there as well. So that was good fun. But then this Shimano job just landed. So I've been there now a year and a half. And my role sort of includes all of the content that Shimano does. I kind of manage the production of all of that. And then I also manage the portfolio of sponsored anglers and the 106 events that we sponsor.
Oh, wow.
Around the country as well. So we've got a team behind us that obviously does all this. My role really is around just the negotiating of all of that, making sure that agreements are pretty sweet, making sure that the events are great. I'm off to an event next week. I was at an event last week, and we don't go to all the events, but we try to share ourselves around as much as we can. Every weekend somewhere in Australia, Shimano is involved in an event, and whether it's just through a couple of packets of squidgies, or it might be a full-blooded naming rights and a full event activation at an event as well. So but it's a good fun role. We get new product that obviously comes out. This year we had 20 new products we launched at AFTA. Every one of those products has to get some form of content and some assets aligned with it for our marketing team to then communicate that. So my job is to manage that, is to, choose and select where we shoot, who we shoot with, what kind of species, what do we want it to look like. Report back to Japan and explain to them that in Australia we have lots of big fish and lots of little fish. Sometimes they're asking for bigger fish, and I try to explain to them that dog-toothed tunas don't just swim around Sydney and Adelaide. But they'll soon understand that. But other times, we're just extraordinary business to work with. Very respectful and hardworking group. That's we're owned by the Japanese. globally, and head office is obviously over in Japan. Had the fortune to go over there and actually witness firsthand, a Shimano reel being made from the cold forging stage of where the metal gets produced from basically from the environment these days. I mean, the water on the roof, the dirt and the soil that they produce through their gardens on the roof of their buildings gets converted into product. Don't ask me how, but it does. And then I'm sitting there watching these robots driving around, with all these products. And there is a human element to every stage of the process. And then you get to the end game where, the Vanford or the Stradic or the Stella turns up on your doorstep. And having witnessed how that gets built, I can certainly see how a 10-year warranty is credentialed next to that particular product.
Wow, it must be an amazing process to see from start to finish, and it certainly sounds like you're a busy man keeping on top of all that. You did mention about the Australian Fishing Trade Association held their tackle show about a month ago, and you had a lot of gear at Shimano released around that event. So 11 new rods, which is great. We wanted to touch on one reel in particular. So the new Vanford took out the best reel at the event. That must have been a big thrill for the company.
Yeah, it was. Look, it got the ticket over and the award over in ICAST in America as well. So we're really delighted with that. I mean, look, what does that mean? It means that the trade believe it's a really good product and they voted for it. That's great. At the end of the day, Vanford users around the country, they're pretty loyal. They love their Vanfords. The reason they love them is how light they are with the CO4 technology, and they're just super smooth to use. They're affordable reel. They range sort of around that $350 to $400 mark, and they've trickled down some features of the Stella now. So they keep upgrading. The running joke at work at the moment is, I'd hate to be the person who's developing the new Stella whenever it comes out, because what else can you put into a reel? My little one-liner is, I reckon the new Stella is going to have AI. It's just going to tell you where to cast.
I was just about to say that. There must be some artificial intelligence coming along somewhere. It's in everything else.
There's got to be something happening, doesn't there? Exactly. So, but that new Vanford, the new little 500 size, which is just a little pocket size, is created a bit of a storm. That's not far away from being on shelf. We've been showcasing it recently at a couple of trade shows, and everyone's so super keen to get their hands on even the little 500s, which you can go and use in the streams for bass and for trouts and whatnot. They're bringing in the C2000 size, the 2500 size, the 3, the 4, and the 5. So it's a neat reel. It's been a popular reel for us. The tagline, from a marketing sense, from our point of view, that came from Japan is the word fast forward, which means it's a real stop-start type reel. So I think they're trying to tag in and tap into the live scopers and the forward-facing sonar fishers who are using their lures to really stop them right in the face of fish. If you do get your hands on a Vanford, you'll realise when you're winding it that when you do stop that wind, how quickly it pulls up, and it does then relay through the rod, through the braid to the actual lure as well. I've seen that done firsthand, and I can see why Japan are designing that reel to suit the lure casters that are becoming synonymous around the country.
Beautiful. We have got an older version of the Vanford, Dom, and we're going to have to get our hands on a new one. And we also love
it's time to upgrade, boys. What are you doing?
We also love the T-curve rod for our whiting fishing over here, and there's a new one of them coming out. So we're going to have to upgrade the whole lot.
Sounds like it. Sounds like another order needs to go over. But the T-curve, actually, interestingly, it's been around for a long time. The T-curve name, it's very synonymous. But this rod is a completely new T-curve. So it's got a new butt, it's got a new reel seat, it's got a new blank, and it's got new guides. Like the only thing the same is the word T-curve. You'll still get the blue in cosmetic. It looks cool, and we just did some testing with that and did a video vlog review, which is on the Shimano YouTube, up on the mid-north coast, and it got raving reviews from our anglers who I always ask for honesty. I'm happy for them to say, nah, doesn't quite cut it. And there's been a few bits and pieces there. They go, no, that's not quite there. But they couldn't speak highly enough of this new T-curve range.
Beautiful. And last thing we wanted to touch on from the AFTA tackle show on the gear you've just released is some of the jigs you've released. I reckon they're going to be really good over here. So the Osea Easy Pebble will go nuts on the Kingfish off Cape Jarvis, I reckon, Diz.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the Wingfall for the Nana Guy over here. So there are a couple of products we're keen to get our hands on. It's good to see Shimano making those jigs again.
Yeah, no, we've turned a few back on almost. Lucanus is another one thrown in there, which I'm sure you guys would have been privy to many years ago. It's the first sort of slow pitch style, octopus style jig that came on the market. It's basically backed by popular demand. I mean, our socials just kept getting inundated by people saying, where can we get a Lucanus from? You know, and we just said to the sales team, guys, look, He proof's in the pudding. Everyone's asking for it. And we literally switched it back on, turned it back on, got the orders back in. We've come in with some new colours. We've come in with 4 different weights with those. But yeah, those Wingfalls, I agree. There's a few other. There's a Pebble Light as well. There's some Colt Snipers as well, which are even lighter, 40 grams, 60 grams. Yeah, it's becoming a bit of a rage, this micro jigging, and it actually isn't that difficult. It might seem difficult. It's a good starting point for anyone who bait fishes to move to lures, is to drop down, particularly a Lucanus, where you can literally throw it in the rod holder and let the motion of the boat and the ocean do the work. It's very, very, very effective. I actually I was on a boat that I watched caught some very big red emperor and Nana Guy up at Hamilton Island last week with those Wingfalls. They did a really good job.
Geez, that's great news.
Well.
That is,
yeah, so they do a good job.
News.
They swim well. They flutter well. They won't be far away on the shelves as well. So, yeah, by all means, for all your good listeners and loyal listeners, get out there and get amongst them because it's good fun.
Yeah, well, it won't be long before that sort of fishing starts firing up again. Once we get some nice weather, there'll be people out across our beautiful state getting around them. And the kingies are, like you say, Rody, particularly off Cape Jarvis. I think there's a real chance there to have some big, good kingies caught on some of those lovely-looking jigs. Now, Dom, tell us, mate, have you done much fishing in South Australia, or is there something on the horizon in some of those events that you might come over to the state and see what we've got to offer? Not snapper.
There needs to be, doesn't it? No, there needs to be. There needs to be. We've had a couple of long-time sponsored anglers over there, Jamie Crawford and Shane Merton, who are pretty synonymous in the industry over there, I'm sure. They've been fantastic, loyal supporters of Shimano for many years. We receive copious amounts of content from them, both, photography, written articles. Obviously, Shane with his magazine does a really great job as well. So, they're our advocates in that area. And you're right, it's probably time that we had a look at some content in South Australia. And we've got so many new. I mean, I was privy to the list yesterday actually of the 2025 products. I can report that there's as many, if not more, products coming again next year in terms of new, some upgrades in some current ranges as well. So there's the new beach rods are probably something that I think would be really appealing to the South Australians. We've just launched 3 new beach rods, Xvance, Dynaflare and Reventus. And, from a $350 rod down to a $199 rod. Whole heap of ranges in lengths and weights, casting lures, both bait, fishing, soak and baits. And we've got to get some of these over to our anglers to get amongst some of those terrific species you have on the beaches as well. So, but you're right, boys. I've always loved Adelaide. The wicket's always been pretty flat over there.
Plenty of runs to be made.
I love the Adelaide Oval. It's my favourite place. So the food's incredible. The people are great. I spent my time at the Cricket Academy over there, so there's a few synergies there.
I was going to say maybe come over for the test match and we'll go out and do a bit of fishing on day 4 or 5 when the cricket's wrapping up.
And it's a bucket list, isn't it? I did go to an Adelaide test match once, but I was working with the Wheat Pix brand there. Not been able to soak one of the Pims out the back, and now you've switched it to this day-night format. It sounds like it's even more inviting.
It certainly is.
No, you do it well. Adelaide have always done their sport well. be it AFL or cricket. And the ease, I just love the ease of being able to walk from the city straight to the ground. It's just literally there. Super city.
Very good. Now, Dom, thank you very much for your time. It sounds like you're a busy man. You've just finished launching the 2024 gear and you're already moving on to next year. So it's a never-ending process, upgrading and keeping your gear at the top of the market.
No, it doesn't stop. It's a great brand, good business. It's part of the reason that I joined. It was a little bit like the Wheat Bix. Wheat Bix in the cereal world, well, it's just synonymous, isn't it? And Shimano's a bit in that vein. But people are really humble. I love that. Everyone that's worked at Shimano's been there for 20 years plus. So I'm literally a new kid on the block. But it says a lot about the business when so many people have worked there for so long. They look after their people well. And yeah, we make a nice little fishing product, which I hope people enjoy.
You certainly do, mate. We love it, and I know plenty of our listeners do too. So thank you very much for sharing some of those insights, bit of what's to come, bits what's been recently announced, and thank you very much for your time this evening, mate.
Pleasure, boys, and I've got to commend you on the podcast. You're doing a great job. You're supporting. We love being supporting the podcast, and I enjoy my drive to work's an hour and a half every day, and you guys keep me motoring along nicely.
Beautiful. Thanks, Dom.
Appreciate it, boys.
Geez, that was good to chat to Dom, Rody. We certainly are hoping to get him down to South Australia to show him what we're made of down here. Maybe if the snapper season opens, we might get him down here and show him what snapper fishing's all about.
He was almost rubbing it in, like saying how much he loves snapper fishing in South Australia. Oh, by the way, he can't do it anymore.
Yes, brilliant to get some insights about everything that's been released, and no doubt there's a lot in the making. We did just hear that there's already works for 2025. So no doubt the work never stops. And we can't wait to see what they keep coming out with, Reddy.
Stitched up Brett Lee a bit, and I wouldn't want to see him and you go fishing because you had all sorts of trouble with our oil on our two-stroke as well.
Harsh.
He's a much better cricketer than you, Diz. I've seen you bowl leg spin and it wasn't pretty.
Oh, come on. What makes you say that?
Must have been what about
moving right along.
Year 7 or 8 when the coach who was umpiring asked you to bowl seam up for the last ball because you've been tonked.
Fair enough. We should have told Dom that story. Rody, let's move on from that, mate. This is not a cricketing podcast. Let's get into the fishing report.
Rody and Diz have been out on the water to bring you the news about where they're biting. Now it's time for the fishing report.
Righto, Rody, this is our fishing report. Of course, we are just starting to see some nicer weather. People are starting to think, oh, geez, I might get my boat out. It's not too cold anymore. We might see some nicer days, and people start to think about some of those summer species, which we love chasing here down in South Australia. So we're not going to talk too much about some of that stuff because it's more on the horizon, but what has been biting recently around the place is, of course, the whiting fishing has been going quite well. You did have a crack off Yorks, did okay.
I think we covered that in the last podcast, I reckon, Diz.
Yes, but
I just got back when we
did
recorded
you?
last.
Okay,
yeah.
well,
we got a dozen, and
we haven't been out since.
I can actually go on a little bit more on that story though, Diz, because I went out with Jack, so my partner, what is he? My sister's partner.
He's your brother-in-law, mate.
Anyway, his family. Anyway, we went out, got a dozen. It was pretty hard going. There was the big boat and the tinny, 12 fish. That's okay. It's a feed. It's not more than a feed. What happened the next day? They got 20 fish in like 10 minutes. So why didn't they take me to that spot?
Jeez, that makes you flat, doesn't it?
Flat. So there are plenty of whiting over on Yorks, Diz. Of course, they wouldn't tell me where they went. Yeah. Somewhere on the bottom half of the York Peninsula.
No, that sounds about right. Now, one thing I also have heard from a mate of mine who did a bit of camping down in the national park, actually.
Which national park?
The Innes National Park.
Yeah,
well, we're sticking to the York Peninsula.
Yeah.
They went off the Marion Bay Jetty because I told them to flick a few squid jags off the Marion Bay Jetty. They got some stonkers.
Did they?
Big hoods. Some good size ones.
And there's been squid around Metro too, Diz. I saw the fishing guru did well.
Yep. He always does well.
Put a bloody squid in one of our beanies. I thought that was a bit disrespectful for the quality beanie.
That was probably a bit, how's he going?
And Jordan Saliba also got some squid. I think that was today or yesterday I saw that one.
Yeah.
He tagged us in something too.
Yeah, love that. Very well played. We can't give you much of a report on what's happening in the Happy Valley Reservoir because you didn't catch anything.
Nah, someone else told me they caught one though, so there's still some there.
The cods are still around?
Yeah.
Nice. Very good. What are we hearing on the kingfish front, Rody? We hearing anything?
I think we touched on the jet ski photo that popped up.
We did, but any more?
Certainly there's a few more having a crack. I reckon they'll be around the mark and in the next couple of weeks if they're not there already. My other thing on that is that probably there's plenty getting them before it becomes widely known. If you were in the early ones to get them, you live locally over at Port Augusta or something like that, you probably wouldn't be sharing it too widely.
No, good call, Rody. We love that. And look, the only other thing I think we should really cover off in the fishing report is a lot of our listeners are doing okay out there getting onto some fish. We covered that in the merch update earlier. There's been people out there getting good bags of tings, big reds, some cods. Obviously, that's finished now, so they're older photos. But everyone's getting out there and having a good time.
They certainly are, Diz, and thanks to everyone who sent in a photo. They were all really good photos, and we would love to give everyone a T-shirt, wouldn't we?
Oh, mate, of course we would, but we'll do some more merch.
We certainly will.
If there's one thing you know you can back us in for, we'll do some more merch. All right, Rody, where can the listeners find us?
Dizzy, we are on your Spotify, your Apple Music, wherever you get your podcast from. We will be there. We're also on your Facebook and your Instagram. Make sure you flick us through a photo. I know the T-shirt comp's gone, but there's still plenty more gear, Shimano backpacks and all the likes to give away.
Brilliant stuff, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Rody and Diz hope you enjoyed today's episode of All the Gear But No Idea. Keep up to date by liking and sharing us on Facebook and Instagram. And you can subscribe on all the major podcast platforms. Until next time, good luck fishing.